And without further ado, let's get this kick started with a spike to the podcast, which is Arsenal are now 7 points clear after they beat Brighton in one of the most disgusting performances I've ever seen in my entire life from a Premier League leading team, as they went to Brighton, didn't hold the ball, had like one shot on target for 70% of the game. But they saw it a victory. And although the game was played for, what was it, 60 minutes, they saw it a victory. And then on the other side of that coin is City were up twice in a match and dropped points to a relegation team, or a team fighting for relegation at home, which sparks the conversation right back up to where we were at probably 3 or 4 pods ago, when City weren't on that form upwards and they were kind of at a lull. I think should we start with, I didn't expect City to win every game for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I don't really know where to go with this. I mean, here's the thing that I'll preface this whole video with is Grant, myself, and Mila all did 5 things videos, or match reaction videos. So if you want to hear like our in-depth analysis of the breakdowns of those games, go ahead and listen to those, because those are going to be a lot more insightful. But I think for the topics today, we'll talk more broadly speaking about the races and kind of where we see this as, is it 10 games left?
It's 8 for Arsenal, I think, and 9 for City.
Okay, so wow, that's not. So it's literally the final stretch here. So
Yeah.
Arsenal now have to drop 2 other games besides the Etihad game, right?
No, we have a game in hand.
You guys have that. No, okay, so one.
Yeah,
other.
They need to draw a game. Realistically, when I talked about that, the title race being in their hands, like, it's not far gone by any means. We're still in the title race, but it went from being in our control to being in Arsenal's control, because now they have to drop points, regardless of whether we're perfect or not, which I don't think we will be. But if we want to win, kind of need to be perfect.
Yeah, their road to getting the Premier League just became that much more easier, just because their stretch of games in the Champions League isn't nearly as hard. Their tough fixtures come against you guys pretty much until the semis of the Champions League. And the rest of their fixtures, while every game in the Premier League is hard, it's not, on paper, they will be the favorite in every matchup. So it's, I mean, look, if they bottle it now, right? If this would be a bottle job in comparison to the rest of their attempts, right, to say the least. Like you said, it's in their hands. There's no City win a game against them and they still have that game to work with now. The game at hand is no longer there. So I don't know where we want to start this or go with this conversation other than you.
You?
You, yeah. Like
yes, you. Yeah. I guess we could talk on that ugly Brighton performance. I touched on it on my video list yesterday a little bit, but they don't need to win convincingly to win the title. It's gross, but to get over the hump, they have to do something. And if they can win ugly, then okay. I just don't want to hear any talk of we're the best team in the world, because the best team in the world wouldn't do this. I don't know. They could drop points. I think they will, but we might also drop points. So I'm looking at that Carabao Cup final as like a very pivotal game, and I've already was, but even more so now. I think we really have to take it to them and make them not want to be on the pitch anymore. Just instill doubt into their team, and then make it just a tough, final month and a half, 2 months to run away with the title. Like, just don't make it easy for them. That's all I'm really looking for at this point.
They're just one of those teams that can get by winning games by 1 or 2 goals. They just don't concede very many easy chances. And through the run in there, that's what makes me think that if they are going to win it this year, that's going to be like a lot of these performances where they just do enough to scrape over the line. I think the more and more that they play this style, which Arteta seems fine with doing, and to be fair, if they win a title, they have every right to do it. But I think the more and more that these games continue, you're going to see more and more managers talk about this style of play, because ultimately it isn't the way that I feel the game is intended to be played. It's ugly. They win ugly. And to be fair to them, like every good MMA fighter or good boxer, like sometimes you got to win rounds ugly to ultimately see it out. We can have the rest of that conversation if they do reach the pinnacle, because the other side of that coin is if you don't win it, like you've mentioned in the past, you don't win it. You have a 7-point gap. You've done this whole thing all year. You're playing ugly and you lose. The gun gets pointed right back at you. And all the things that we're saying about them in I guess a positive spin with the way that they're playing, you can rightfully say it in a negative way. I don't know. Grant, you're the Chelsea fan. From a rival's perspective, where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, I was having this conversation with Facundo and a fellow guest of the pod, Thomas, and I was thinking about hitting Facundo up, seeing if he wanted to come on today, but after this conversation, like I didn't think it was right to allow him to have a platform for today. Some of it was bad, man, and I think you got it right. Where if you win, and especially like the last 9 games of the season, like get the results. No one cares how you do it at this point of the season. And again, this isn't something we didn't expect. We've seen them trending towards this style of play the past few years. We've seen it in their recruitment, and again, they're maximizing it. But and I'm okay with all of that, but just to not admit on a deeper level, it just isn't in the spirit of the game. Certain things that they do, that's what kind of irks me more than anything. Like it's okay to do it. Like especially if you win, like by all means. But to not admit that, at the least, it's like shameless the way they're playing. Because, like you said with the Brighton game, you typically see the title leading team's manager complaining to the mid-table team's manager about, "Hey, hurry up," or "What are you doing?" So for the guy who's been on the hot seat for a little bit now at Brighton to just openly go, yeah, this is not how it should be done. This is not how the game is played. We're not talking about all the stats, the XG, the this, the just use your eyes, man. This is not in the spirit of the game. Do you whether or not you think you're following all of the rules on set pieces and all of these things, the people who created this beautiful game did not intend for it to be played this way. So I just need that, bro. Like I really don't care if you get it done, by all means, congratulations. But to not just admit that, like I just find that weird. And the last thing I'll really say on it is when we were talking about it with Facundo, he was telling me his words. Where was this energy when Villa, Newcastle, Brentford, West Ham, Everton were doing this to us? I think that makes my point. Like expectations, those clubs are not on the level that you claim your club is at. So that's the difference for me. So I think that's like an understanding, right? You claim to be one of the biggest clubs, the biggest club in the city and all of that. Why are you comparing yourself to West Ham? They play at a track and field stadium and might get relegated. So it just irks me on that level. It's petty. And again, if you win, you win. But that's where I just get the most frustrated.
Yeah, the thing that honestly irked me the most about this whole thing was Arteta's response to Hurstler. When you are in the lead, you don't stoop down to like this happens every single year. I can actually on hand remember the amount of times that stuff like this happened with Pep. Pep every single time outside of Klopp, because that's a rivalry, took the high road. And that's the point. You have to do this with some dignity and some honor and some respect to where you're at. Everyone is aiming for you. Everyone knows you have to know and have the self-respect to know that you have the target on your back. The way that they act with every passing game does not show the humbleness to have or earn respect. That stuff is earned, and they act like they should just have it. And that's honestly what irks me about it is they don't wear this. I mentioned it a couple of pods ago. Like it feels like a facade, And that's why, even as a rival fan of City, I find myself not rooting for City, but not caring if Arsenal pull away with it. Because rivalry's sake, I should want City to fucking punish and drop as far as humanly possible and be in the scrap with the rest of our teams. But I find myself not caring if Arsenal run away with it or not, and honestly hoping that it's not a race because of the way that it's all being perceived by them. And that's super lame. And that's how I feel about Arsenal. They feel super lame.
Good way to put it.
I
Again,
mean,
it's just you're speaking from the heart though, because again, logically speaking, like yeah, of course, your City rivals, you can't have little bro winning again. Like that should be how you're coded, but your love for the game is just connecting to it. And you're like, oh, like what is this? Like that's what it is. So yeah,
look,
man, like,
if Arsenal
like,
do
again,
win the
when I
league, that's
see
how I'm going to spin it.
right,
That's
of
how
course,
I'm
but,
going to
like,
spin it. But like, I
yeah.
don't, at this point, like, I just genuinely couldn't care if City won it or Arsenal won it because it's literally the better of, it's not even the better of two evils. It just is. And that's his sentiment on what Arsenal are. Like that's what it is. Like my club hasn't been in the running for a long time, so I can't even put my team. And I most of my anger goes to United because there shouldn't be a reason that this has happened. But when it's all down to where it's currently at, where I have to sit, like I had to sit last year with the Liverpool and City shit, is I sit here and I go, fuck, who cares? And that sucks.
Yeah. I mean, my last point I want to get off because this is also a conversation I had, but Gabriel being this tough guy enforcer and continually going down like a feather infuriates me. When me and Facundo had this conversation, he compared it to Cucurella. I'm like, Cucurella is 5'6". I don't think he's this tough guy.
No.
He antagonizes 100%. But again, when you're that tough guy and you're that gritty guy, I feel like that's part of the game. He's not trying to be some big, intimidating, tough guy. You can't be intimidating and simultaneously go down that much. And again, back to what I was saying earlier about just the purity of the game, like as a top level defender, which he's a very good center back. Wouldn't you want to defend and show that off and win tackles, shield off the ball, and like not go down in that situation and prove how good you are? Because if I were a quarter as good as that, you know what I mean? Like I'd want to prove it because that's just how I was when I'm competing. But I don't know. It's just, again, that in the nature of the game, it's like, why do I have to keep seeing that? And again, I know it's a part of the game. All teams are guilty of it. But when I'm seeing it at this level, and then when I see the performative antics on the side of it, it's like the two do not match. And that's another thing that just kind of irks me.
It's one thing when you're the best at something, and it's one thing when you're the best at knowing the technicalities of the game. It is very similar to the conversations that people have when it comes to a Luka or a Harden. Right? When you know you're going to get a call because you do thing X, people will eventually not like that. It's grifting. And that's what he's doing. He's doing the football equivalent of grifting. Because every time he fucking falls over, he gets the call. Danny Welbeck did not touch Gabriel in the 91st minute. He fell over and he just got the call. And then I just see and hear the commentator slurping his fucking nuts about how he flopped. Man, that shit ticks me off. Like, don't reward this sour behavior. And like, look, my team's got one of those players in itself with Cunha. I'd prefer if the game was reffed in a way where they don't reward those actions. I think every fan would. But at this point, like, I can't even be mad at. I want to be mad at Gabriel for it, but he just knows he's going to get the call. And while I want to be like, okay, like here's your respect portion, I can't even think about it in that way because it's not. Like he's just abiding by the rules that are being thrown out this year, which has been
Playing
we're
the
going to
game.
be super physical in the box for some reason.
No,
and then
okay.
we're not in other portions of the field. You've talked about it with Holland. It's ridiculous.
That's the thing. That's what pisses me off is that it's not, oh, this is the way the game is going, but Arsenal get to play a different game almost. Other teams are punished for things that they commit on a weekly basis. Whereas they get away with it. You're playing two different games.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, I think the NBA comparison was good.
Honestly, I can't. There's a little bit of bias. I won't say there's not, but when I see Richard Masters, who's in charge of the Premier League, come and say, "Oh, we have a strategic plan to make sure that a new winner is placed at the top of the Premier League." And then I see with my eyes on a weekly basis that maybe we're not getting some of these 50-50 calls, but the scrutinization from the refs, the VAR, is way more than anything Arsenal have to experience. So when it comes to a 50-50, they're getting a favorable percentage of it going their way, whereas we're not getting that. And that can be circumstance, but with things that are said from the head of our league that indicate otherwise to me, it's super frustrating. I don't know. I want to play the game on level playing field, and it's super annoying that this is a talking point at all that we're having on a fucking podcast. Basically open rigging of the league right in front of our eyes. We can't confirm it. We're never going to be able to confirm it, but they've done enough to at least put the idea in people's heads.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, it's not even making excuses. Like, I wish I could just be like, you know what? Arsenal have won and done this because they were the best team. But I don't find myself doing that at any point. I haven't, for like pretty much the majority of this year, barring a stretch between mid-October and mid-November, have I been like, Arsenal are the best team in the world. They deserve this Premier League title. I just don't feel that way.
When they play Tottenham.
To be fair, like I could go back to Liverpool last year. I didn't think the same thing, and we're being validated this season for that. But I feel very similar. And maybe this is just a quality of the Prem thing. Like the bottom teams have been better.
I was literally going to say that.
Teams have been worse.
That's exactly what I think.
This style of play has just been the most stable. And maybe that's if all this is said and done at the end of the year, we can say that Arsenal were the most stable team because their style of play didn't have as much variance from week to week. We knew every single preview video with Arsenal, we say we know exactly what we're getting. This was the first time we actually didn't see what we were expecting. So I don't know.
I think you got it right with that in terms of quality throughout the league. I think we've said it enough times, but in incredibly simple terms, the quality of the team in 18th place compared to even last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it's night and day. And the result of that is the team in first place is nowhere near the level of the teams in first place last year, the year before. I think, again, even the Arsenal team from 2 years ago was much better performing domestically than this team, right? And I think a big cause of that is just how much quality there is top to bottom. There's so much money for all of these teams. So I do think that plays a big part into it. But yeah, at the end of the day, they do not seem nearly as impressive of any of the champions of the previous 5 times. I think you could keep going back, but yeah, there's a definite level difference. And Liverpool, you could definitely argue it too. And I know you boys will.
Yeah. We didn't touch a lot on City, but I think that it's way better to hear it just from Mila's perspective talking about it, because he does a really good job in his video. So if you haven't already seen it, go to Mila's video to check that out. It's much better than me talking about my rival team. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing good that can come of that.